about that. I thought, we're going to start right at 4:30. It would be awesome if people put their names and where they teach in the chat. That way we can get a feel for who else is here and maybe like what level, if it's not clear from the name of your school. I am very middle school sort of focused. So some of the content in this presentation maybe aims toward the middle, but can be adapted both for younger and for older. I did, in fact, say to Jenny as we started this that I have enough content in the slideshow probably to do 3 of these sessions. I'm going to try not to go too fast so that we can all sort of think about things. And if you're at a computer, I would love you to try things along the way. So everything that I'm showing or doing, I have personally tried or used. But the true experience is for you to get to play a little yourself. Okay, and are there any questions before we begin? All right, let's go. Let's talk about AI and the school library. Let's see if I can get my setup to work. All right, so my main go-to for AI is still ChatGPT. But before we talk about ChatGPT, what came up over and over and over at ISTE is how important it is to create effective prompts. And people kept coming back to these very complex prompts. Although with a chat bot, you can go back and re-add to things and make it do different things along the way. But there were some very, very specific type of prompting that was being proposed. So here's an example. A specific prompt, you could ask ChatGPT this exact language. You can actually copy this and paste this in here. A lot of the stuff I put is meant to be copied and pasted. You could tell ChatGPT, I want you to become my prompt engineer. Your goal is to help me craft the best possible prompt for my needs. And then you actually tell it, like your first response will be, talk to me and ask me. So this is like a virtual assistant kind of query or prompt that you would put in so that you could generate conversation. And then it will suggest a revised prompt and maybe questions that it needs to give you a better answer, and then continue the iteration until you get what you want. So this is how specific people were talking about using prompts at ISTE. I never used them this complex, although I do tend to add on quite a bit as I work. So once I put that prompt in, if you put that in live, ChatGPT says, great, let's begin the process of refining. Oh, it says, what would you like the prompt to be about? And I said, a lesson in the library. And it said, great, let's begin. And it revised the prompt for me. And then it started asking me questions, like to try to drill down to what I was really looking for. It was a different process than I was used to using. I was used to telling it, give me 5 things and calling it good. So really the purpose of the chatbot is to have some dialogue. But they also encourage using different kinds of pieces of your prompt, like frames. Act as, pretend you're an expert in, assume you are in a location, provide me info from a blank perspective, take on the persona, right? So giving it a frame for who's talking. Tell it exactly what tone you want. Do you want it to be serious, humorous, professional, in the style of a 5th grader, in the style of a librarian? You can tell it what format you want the response to be. Okay, so what format are you looking for it to be? Is it like an email, a poem, a tweet, a paragraph, a social media post at the bottom where they have hashtags included, a newsletter article? It can do all of these things if you tell it to. Right? It's like we say to our kids, it's only as smart as you are. It's up to you to be smart in what you're asking for. And then it says use expansion. So dive deeper into that topic. Give me more examples of how does this relate to, add culturally responsive language. So I'm sure that you all have heard that ChatGPT and pretty much all large language models are very biased, right? Because they scraped everything from the internet up to 2021. And so that content can come across as very, very biased. So if you want something to be culturally responsive, you have to ask it to be culturally responsive. If you want something to be more unbiased, you have to be explicit with what you're asking for. Or if something comes back and it feels a little biased, you have to challenge it then and follow up by saying, make this more culturally responsive. Like that, to me, when I came out of ISTE, that was one of my big takeaways, is that as a 50-something white woman, I'm putting in my prompts, I'm getting back stuff, it looks good to me, but maybe I'm not thinking about it in a culturally responsive way. Maybe I asked for 5 books about dragons and they're all white authors, right? And I'm not thinking about some of my own internal biases that are at play when I'm creating prompts. So that is definitely a takeaway, is forcing it to be more culturally responsive, especially based on your populations. Okay, and then you can ask it to analyze, like break something down, identify strengths and weaknesses. How would you improve the following? What points are missing? So sometimes I'll have it do something, I say, okay, what did I miss? And it'll go back and fill in and suggest things that it thinks I missed. Okay, so this prompt engineering, right, is a mega skill. If you can figure out good prompt engineering, you can do anything. It's so astonishing what it can do. All right, what can it do to help school librarians? Some of these may be obvious to you, and some of them may be part of the presentation I did with Barb in the spring. But I actually put some specific types of prompts that you can use. And if you want to put in the chat, if you see things that I'm missing, things we can do better, please, this should definitely be interactive. I would love to see people, like if something doesn't seem culturally responsive or something seems too short-sighted, feel free to have conversations. I may not be able to acknowledge it, but certainly I want you to talk among yourselves. All right, 10 ideas. Let's start with 1-minute book talks, 30-second book talks, 1-sentence book talks. You could, okay, so blind date with a book. Have you ever done blind date with a book? The biggest pain in the neck is coming up with all the hashtags or the little things that you're supposed to write on the outside. This will do it for you. Tell it the books, and then it will tell you your hashtags. Or just have it write 10 great books for middle school blind date with a book event, and it will give you all the descriptions. You can have it write a book hook, write a funny review of a book. You can have it write 1-sentence book talks by a specific author. There's almost no limit to how it can help you book talk to the kids, right? That's one of our main tools. This makes me think of like Nutmeg all the time. Like if I'm going to talk about Nutmeg, there's 20 in the 2 lists that we read at Sedgwick. I haven't read them all yet. I've read probably 14. But if I'm not sure what to say to kids, I can have this write something for me.
Hey, Shannon,
Yeah.
A question came up in the chat. What if the book was written after 2021?
That is a great question. If you connect it to like the book description, it can do it for you. So I have had to like copy and paste like either from Amazon or from Goodreads, like what the book is about. And it will take the summary, or Wikipedia, it will take the summary and give you that 1-sentence book talk if you provide the content. So yes, there have definitely been times that I've had to provide it with the content. Yeah, that 2021, that is definitely a real roadblock for some of what we do, but there are workarounds for a lot of it. All right, so book talk prompts, that's a great tool to use. And then the famous recommend 5 books, right? So one of our big jobs is sort of finding a kid, what do you like, and then recommending books that you might like. So I just did 5 because it made sense, but I did all of these and they work beautiful, and you can try them right now. Recommend 5 books about dragons for a middle school student. The books that I expected to come up. Dragon Watch, Aragon, Wings of Fire, the ones that, we are really popular in the middle school. Now you're right, I'm not going to get the newest ones. If there's like a brand new dragon book that's popular, I probably won't get that, but it still did a really good job for the kid that I have that's always looking for dragon books. And then of course the kids loved One of Us is Lying. And even though that is past 20, or before, did that come out before 2021? Actually, I can't remember. I feel like that was after, but it might have been just around 2021. It gave me 5 great books like One of Us is Lying. And then you can recommend 5 books written at a 3rd grade level for a middle school student who loves dogs. And notice none of these are particularly culturally responsive. So I might need to say, like the bottom one, recommend 5 books for a diverse set of middle school students about the middle school experience. So you actually have to explicitly tell it if you want diverse titles. Oh, thank you. One of Us Was Lying was 2017. Time flies, Leslie. Time just flies by. I don't know. I feel like that book just came out. 2021, Ellen, is when the large language models, they scraped everything off the internet until 2021. They haven't pulled anything that's been published on the internet since 2021. Fauna, that's a good point. It feels weird to have it be culturally responsible for us. Well, again, when we're being in a hurry, when we're trying to just generate 5 good book picks, of course we're going to bring our own lens and our own expertise. And sometimes it's going to give you stuff that's garbage and you're going to have to redo it anyway. And then you can continue to prompt it to do better. But it's 100% something to be aware of because, like I said, I'm not always wearing that hat. I'll be completely honest. Sometimes I'm just going about my day trying to put books in kids' hands. Okay, so recommending 5 books, that works. Writing lesson plans and being very specific. And this is where the more specific you are, the better, because you can have it write a lesson plan, for example, about judging the reliability of websites, include vocabulary lists and activity, and you can include like fun activity or funny activity or interactive activity or activity including movement, an assessment, an exit slip, a rubric, and the standard that it connects to. And it will do all that work for you. It's actually kind of magical. I don't think I can copy and paste because I'm live. Right? So definitely adding in, not just write a lesson plan for a 4th grade class about the night I followed the dog, but tell it what else you want as part of that lesson plan. Right? Be explicit. Oh, I did write a lesson plan to help me teach 1st graders about coding using Uno cards. It wrote the best lesson. Who knew? Like, so cute. So definitely lesson plans. And again, this is just ChatGPT. This is just scratching the surface, having your little assistant on your computer with you during the day. You can have it include links to videos. You can have it include multiple choice questions for a quiz or true false questions or any kind of quiz questions. It's the more you play with it, the more down the rabbit hole we get. All right, it's excellent for brainstorming. Right, and again, I brainstormed 20 argumentative writing topics for 3rd graders and a rubric with the most important skills. And I could have had it aligned to the the SBAC, right? The testing. I didn't add that. I should have probably. And then, but when I didn't love the list I got. So I went back and did culturally responsive argumentative writing topics, and it was better. And
Hey,
again,
Shannon, there's a question in the chat.
oh yeah,
And I'm curious to hear your response too. From what I've read, this is from School Librarians of Rhode Island. From what I've read, ChatGPT is the more current version and it's a paid version, right? They will hook us on the free version, ChatGPT, and as time goes on, less helpful, so that we may have to go to the paid version. What are your thoughts on that? Thanks for asking that, School Librarians in Rhode Island.
yeah. So I'm discovering that almost all the tools that I used for free in the spring are now charging, or they're freemium, right? So you have a basic plan that's free, and now they are charging. Like some of the things I couldn't access at all because you can't do it unless you're paying for it. So I imagine ChatGPT, I am not paying for the newer version. I'm still using the free version. Is it important enough tool in my daily life that I would consider paying for it? Probably yes. I'm actually paying for Midjourney. which is an image creation tool. So, like we do pay for some things. I pay for Kahoot. I may end up paying, but they do kind of have us. I'll be curious to see what happens. So I don't know if anybody uses Microsoft Edge or Bing, right? But they have it sort of built into their web browser. And one of the ways it's different from ChatGPT is that it does provide links to sources, which I find fascinating, although the top source is always Wikipedia. But that right now is completely free. There's not a paid version of that. Google also has Bard, and I think there is a paid version of that and a free version. So yeah, I think like all helpful educational software and things we love to use, there will be a price to pay. It's sad because there are so many great tools and now they're all charging. But, Kahoot was free. Everything was free, and now we pay. Okay, brainstorming. So 10 ideas for celebrating banned books month. That was, okay, so I always that's always hard for me to kind of figure out, and it gave me 10 really good ideas. 20 icebreakers to do with fifth graders that include the kids talking to each other, right? We always do icebreakers at the beginning of the year. Fundraising ideas for school libraries. Oh, bulletin board ideas for winter. Oh, I can't, those cutesy, catchy, fall for a good book. I am terrible at coming up with that stuff. I can use ChatGPT. It does a good job. Right. So it's certainly not going to replace us as librarians. That there is no way this could ever replace us. But what it can do is it can augment what we already do and try to save us a little bit of time and energy. So I have lots of kids. We all see hundreds of kids. I have 900 and some odd students in my building. And there are some with IEPs and some that I struggle with to keep on task during a lesson. So ChatGPT can make suggestions for strategies to use with kids who have IEPs. Maybe the kid requires notes to be provided. Maybe there's an 8th grader with dyslexia, and I'm struggling how to help that student pick a just right book. Differentiating lessons. It can do for 1st graders or 6th graders. You tell it who your audience is, and it will give you the best ideas for that. And again, one of my biggest ones at the bottom, I have lots of kids who struggle with ADHD or ADD, have a really hard time in my version of lessons where they're supposed to be sitting at a computer doing stuff the whole time. So it's kind of a reminder to me to move the kids around more, but also gives me ideas for how individual kids I can kind of structure it for them too. Whenever you're struggling with classroom management or IEPs, it can't hurt to ask. It's different than Googling, right? When you Google, you have to read 20 articles and maybe come across 1 or 2 good ideas. This sort of scrapes all that and feeds you back what it thinks will be the most helpful ideas. Now, these are the kinds of prompts that I usually write. They're not that specific, right? Not like that first one in the beginning. So you're going to have to play around with what really works best for you and what you're trying to get back from the tool. All right, so most AI stuff is not something that kids can sign in and use. The majority of the tools are they're just not kid friendly. They're not part of our privacy, the educational software hub in Connecticut. There's a lot of things the kids can't use because it requires to sign in. So if you have kids in a whole group, what kind of things can you do? So at ISTE, there was some really inspirational teaching going on with AI tools. So for example, if you copy and paste this create your own adventure prompt, you, the teacher, projecting like on a smartboard, copy and paste it in, let the kids come up with the backstory and the names of the characters. And then you plug this in, it will start a live action. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, there's the guy who gave me the idea. Oh, I don't think I took a screenshot. Okay, so if you do this, so it will start a live action choose your own adventure where it says, what do you want to do next? You wake up and you're here, and what do you want to do next? I thought I grabbed a link for the story I started. It works so amazing. And the prompt was already written at the website at the bottom. This was a guy named Richard Campbell. There are quite a few posts about how to do choose your own adventure with ChatGPT with the kids. This is the one that I found the quickest and most effective. And then of course you would have the kids vote and decide which way to go and what to do. I had it write a choose your own adventure where they had to go into a cave. No, that was the script I wrote. I forget, but it was something fun and funny. Okay, you can play who wrote it. So there's a teacher that was a teacher of the year out of Philadelphia who has fifth graders, I think. And so he would take a sentence written by a student and have ChatGPT write 2 additional versions of the sentence. And then he would put the 3 sentences up on the board and the kids would have to guess which one was human and which one was AI. So that makes your brain do all kinds of work when you think about writing structure and vocabulary. And the kids were so engaged with trying to talk it out, like which one was the human. And again, that's the teacher just projecting on the screen. And you could use the kids' own writing, which is interesting too, to see how ChatGPT changes it, adds to it. You could actually ask ChatGPT, okay, what did you do to improve the sentence? And it will explain to the kids like what it did to improve the sentence, whether it's adding different vocabulary or more complex sentence structure. So I think, one of the things that they talked a lot about at ISTE is sort of kids understanding what artificial intelligence is and how it works and how to try to recognize it as a skill for the future. So that's a fun way to do it. And then, of course, you can take any writing and try to make it better. And ask ChatGPT, okay, what makes it better? Okay, change the adjectives. All right, what happens if you make it more complex? And then you can do a writing lesson. For me, I really want to be able to do thesis statements with my student because we write complicated thesis statements for History Day, where we have to take an American history topic and a theme, and the kids have to explain how the topic goes along with the theme. And the kids are terrible at this. They're terrible about explaining it. And so if the kid gives me a terrible thesis, I can plop it in and we can see what ChatGPT suggests. Now the kids can't do it. So right now it's not approved on the State Hub, ChatGPT for kids. Even though my 8th graders would be 13, you have to log in to use it. So until there's approval at the state level, I can't have my kids log in. But so I'll have to do it with them and show them how to write good thesis statements. You can also have it write like 3 bad thesis statements and 1 good one and have them figure out, this is a lot of the work that I do with them, like figuring out what's a good thesis statement, how to write a good thesis statement. Right? And ChatGPT will explain everything it does to improve writing. Okay, summarizing too. I saw this great presentation about they asked the kids a question and they all submitted their answers in a Google form. And then the teacher took all the kids' answers, put it into ChatGPT and asked it to summarize. So you kind of have an answer for the whole class in 2 sentences that summarize what all the kids in class were thinking. So there are definitely some ways to use summarizing as a whole group. You could also, give the kids an article, have them read it, and then after they read it and annotate it, have ChatGPT help break it down for the kids. Okay, now in the voice of a 5th grader, summarize the article, use bullets to show the most important aspects, identify key vocabulary, and then go have the kids circle the vocabulary in the article. And then maybe pose 3 comprehension questions that the kids can then pick to answer as their exit ticket. So using summary. And again, trying to just engage kids in this brain that exists to help people, sort of. Oh, and then this other teacher did this cool thing where he literally on the fly had GPT generate a script and then had the kids act it out. So the kids came up with the story, the characters, the setting. ChatGPT, I did this one, and then you can click on the link to see the script here. I don't know. Oh yeah, I can't open it. So I gave it like the kids, and I said they want to go in a cave and rescue a cat, and it gave them a whole script that they can then act out. How cute is that? So kids come up with the idea, ChatGPT writes a script, and the kids act it out. That was fun. And the kids, there was a video of kids doing this, just had a blast. So you could even think like generating a script for a book that you do with the kids. Right? Think of a picture book that you particularly love and ask it to create a script with X amount of roles and voices, and that could be really fun too.
Hey Shannon, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Maria put a couple of comments in about just being able to. Do you have any tips? I think on ways that if you're new to this stuff, how you can help your students start identifying this stuff, or could that be in a AI session part 2 that we might be talking about having?
I think that would be a great session part 2. I can at the end I included a link that's a Wakelet to resources I've been collecting, and in it there are links to lessons that do exactly that. There are links to things in Checkology and News Literacy Project. So for sure that would be a great part 2.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's, especially for some of us that haven't done much, I think we would love, just a little bit more like that. So we'll, Maria, we'll come back to you, and we're already starting to plan some of that, because I think, and we're going to be on the lookout too to be sharing other things around the state, because I think, and maybe nationally, because I think this is going to continue to be a big topic. But I think that Shannon and maybe some others would love to do a part 2 for folks that want to find out a little bit more. So thank you for asking.
Absolutely. All right, does anybody need a stretch break? Okay. And really, put all your questions in the chat. This is going way faster than I thought it would, so very strange. 10 AI tools for enhancing teaching and learning in school libraries. All right, so these are some of my favorite tools in addition to ChatGPT. There are so many out there. There were some I definitely couldn't include because now they're charged for. But these still all have a free or a freemium level for librarians to use. Okay, Question Well AI. This thing is so crazy. I did include a link to the software and an explainer video from TikTok. You can add any text, like copy and paste an article, into Question Well. And I don't know that I can be facile enough to go from screen to screen and demo it. But I can tell you that what I did was I took all the 8th graders' thesis statements in the spring, and I dumped them into here, and I had it create questions, and then I was able to export from here the questions and answers to a CSV that I was able to upload to Kahoot to make a game to play. I made a game kit, a Kahoot, and something else. And so the kids, we played games based on the topics that they studied. Okay, so you would put in, and you can actually ask it to find a topic too, or you can copy and paste any kind of text, and it will generate for you questions and answers. It's called Question Well.
Hey Shannon, do all these other ones, Christine, Rosa, and some other folks have asked, do all these other AI things also have the 2021 limit, or is it just ChatGPT?
Yeah, these are not large language models, which are using data scraped from the web. These are tools, so it's different. That's a good question. So you can export to Kahoot, Quizzes, Gimkit, Canvas, Blooket, Google Slides, Google Forms, and Quizlet and Schoology. Okay, so this is called Question Well. It's a limited, right? That's all it does. You give it text, it makes multiple choice questions and lets you export them. But it's fantastic. Oh, here's the things it shares to. All right, and still free, thankfully. Okay, and I did put just a screenshot of what that looks like. Simple, effective. Okay, Conquer AI, and you'll see a lot of people on TikTok talking about this one. This was definitely a big talk at ISTE. Lots of people were talking about Conquer. It is for creating assessments. And I do apologize, I should have loaded these in advance. Like when you look at Conquer, you create a quiz so you can pick topics that already exist. I think I tried to do Dewey Decimal and it didn't have that. That was sort of one of my go-tos for it. But you can put in a topic and it will create a quiz. Not only that, but it will create like a variety of quizzes. I don't know how quickly it will do this. How quickly will it do it? Let's say we want to create a quiz on Dr. Seuss. I think this was being a little bit slow earlier today. But you can also explore ones that exist already. Here's lots of topics. Here's the grades. It's K through 8 for what exists already in its library. You can pick skills, analyzing cause and effect, and it's just ready to go quizzes that the kids can do online. Like they would join and do online. And again, here's the upgrade to Pro, which is super annoying. But lots of stuff still available. So that's Conquer. It's easy, quick. It'll make the quizzes for you. I don't know how much librarians give quizzes, but it's certainly interesting. All right, CurryPod. This thing, holy moly. This is the one I think it is. This one. All right, so we're going to create a lesson. And then this has, you can create would you rathers, brain breaks. You can create discussion questions, give personalized feedback, concepts, a check-in, a mini project, a lesson hook, facts, inferences, did you know, exit tickets, drawing prompts with a topic. This has all these cute, actually makes lessons live. Like it makes you create them. So you can generate with AI, right? You can make a lesson on the library and then say do magic. And it will start to create a lesson for you. Of course, library is super generic, right? Those are my generic prompts. I should have thought of something more specific. Okay, so there's 13 slides. It created a slideshow automatically. And then you can do, okay, let's see if I have all 13 slides. And then you can edit the different activities that are available. Word clouds, polls, drawings. Okay, and then you can build in also those activities that we were looking at before. Oh, maybe not. Oh, see, and then the kids go to Curie.live. They don't have to sign in. They just go to Curie.live and put in the pin, and they could play this. Name one type of thing you could find in the library. And you have 13 slides. And, of course, you can edit things before you put it live and give it to the kids. Oh, yeah, and you can add polls. You can generate a drawing one. Here's a brain break. Draw a sleepy dinosaur wearing pajamas and dreaming about cupcakes. So the kids would draw with their mouse while they're live online. Okay, here's a poll. And it will create the questions for you. Work together in pairs. It's one thing you learned from the library you didn't know before. Yeah, so I built this whole little lesson on libraries. It could be really super useful. What I thought was super cute and what I would probably use it for is the engagement activities. A lot of them were like that draw the dinosaur one, but right now we're still at the point where things are available. It's not, it's still free, mostly free.
Shannon, we got a question in here. Can the slides be exported to Google Slides?
That's a great question. I believe the answer is yes. Share. No exporting. I wonder if that's a paid feature. I didn't try because so much of it is interactive. I think you have to be here. I think you have to be online with it because it's all interactive. Like brain break for 5th grade, do the magic, and it will create brain breaks. That was a good question though. Yeah, I think you have to do it here. And then you present it and the kids go to Curie Live, put in their pin and do the brain break. So yeah, this is fun for like when you need some kind of interactive lesson with computers. That's called CuriePod. All right, TWE is another one that people talk about a lot. And people were talking about this at ISTE and hoping that it doesn't become paid. Because right now you can take any YouTube video and you can do a million things to it. And I've tried this and it works amazing. So you can do YouTube video to text. You can create questions for a YouTube video. So I put in one about Google searching. It did a brilliant job of coming up with different questions for the video. It can write summaries of a YouTube video, warm up discussion questions for a video. And then you can also read and understand text and have it do things to the text, like creating questions, creating a text on a certain topic, true false statements, a dialogue on any topic. What? Lead-in activities for a text that you want to use. There's a vocabulary, learn and practice new words. Create a list of sentences with your vocabulary, fill in the gap. And then there was some grammar stuff. And then activities to make your kids talk, discussion questions, facts, a game called 4 Opinions, and then some homework things. But it was the YouTube stuff that I used last year. Let's see. I don't think I can get there quick enough. Well, maybe I have a screenshot. I'll go back to here. Oops. No, I only show the tool. But it's amazing. Like, depending on what you teach and how you teach, this could be super useful. Not everybody wants to have to get familiar with CuriePod and all the different, live presenting, letting the kids, but if you could create questions for YouTube video, and it asks the questions while the kids watch the video. Actually, maybe I wasn't specific about that. Maybe that's worth showing. How are we doing for time? Oh, it's only 5:09. Good.
Hey, Shannon, when you're using TWE, so a lot of times I'll use something so that you don't see all the ads, right? And the next recommendations. Does that get rid of needing something like that, a tool like that?
Let's go look.
Okay, great.
Let's go look. I'm gonna actually, this one is worth like sharing. So I'm gonna grab a YouTube link. So this was simple Google search tips. And I'm gonna share this tab and I'm gonna put this here. Do the magic. Oh, it even has the correct answers. Okay, so what would you do with this? It's just a link to the video. I don't think it takes away the rest of the content.
With so much happening online, it can be hard to find exactly what you're looking for. So here
Yeah,
are
it doesn't clean it up, but it does give you the questions and answers.
Okay, thanks.
And you can have different kinds of questions, true, false, A, B, C, D. You can save it as a PDF or a Google Doc. You can save it for later. Okay, that was twee. Again, still free. Still free. That's like so many of the other Web 2.0 tools that we became so dependent on. And things go paid versions, and that's a bummer. But for the moment, there's free. So Diffit is one that people say is going to bring an end to News ELA. I don't know how true that is, but Diffit will level your resources for you. Okay, so if you put in an article URL, so for example, history.com, you ever use history.com? It's so obnoxious. Like the ads are so annoying and it's really hard for the kids to read. Let me just grab an article from history.com. The website is like all the shows, but the content is what I like. Okay, so here's one on the Great Recession. This is worth it, I promise. Okay, so you put an article URL and paste it in there. Say what grade level you want it for. So I'm going to start at 7th grade, generate my resource. It's going to pull out the text and make it 7th grade reading level. And then you can save that one and then also make it 5th grade reading level, 3rd grade reading level, etc. So you're literally leveling any text, and it actually works really well. I don't, that's why I don't know that how long this one will be completely free. It works really well. So it takes this really obnoxious history.com article and does an adapted reading. You can also, if you think that's a little bit too long, you can adjust the length. Oh, am I not logged in? You can show the sources. You can go in and edit it as a teacher, and then you can copy it and paste it into a Google Doc. I guess I'm not logged in. This is called Diffit, Diffit. Yeah, I think this is like for the readers, like 2nd grade is about where it starts. But it goes all the way to 11th grade plus. And then you can export to Google Docs or save it as a PDF or export it to forms. Okay, and so you can say, it should only be a short. I only want it to be short, and it will make it smaller. So this is a very useful differentiation. I think my teachers would really benefit from this. And then it will really help my kids when they do research, especially when they're using free websites like history.com, which not only is, a good enough reading level, but the website itself is so annoying. And you can clean it up like this. So that is Diffit. That's all it does. You can also search for topics here, like what could I search for? Like mitosis. That's what it says. And it will find text for you or create text for you. I'm not sure if it's finding it or creating it from AI. But it's like the magic button.
Shannon, can I ask another question?
Of course.
So I was sort of taking notes during this. So I'm just thinking about the ethical, the ethics behind this. So when we differentiate and make something from history.com, right, the article shorter, is it holding on to all the credentials, all of the the citation information, you know, so that we're still giving credit, like that this came from history.com, it's adapted. So
That is a great question. Right, let's export to Google Docs and see if it
perfect.
does. All right, so simple export, principal template, digital template, reading level summary. Doesn't say anything about saying where. Oh, this is the one it created though. It's not the history.com one. Let me go back and do the history.com one.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Because we always want to be modeling ethical research skills. And so I think, and it's also important, the other reason why I tell my students that I'm always sharing where I get information from is because as a librarian, as a teacher, if I want to get back there, if I don't take careful notes to say, oh, this was at a 3rd grade reading level, or I'm never going to remember that. So it's not just ethical, but it is also helpful for us.
So when we differentiate for kids now like this, and we have different levels of the same article, we always put the link at the top and where it's from and the title and the author. I mean, that's just sort of part of our practice right now. All right, let's see if we can export this to Google Docs. So I would think that's like the teacher's practice, right? This is the tool, and the teacher might have to do that work. But that's a good question. It'd be nice if it did. Oh, it does. It gives the link. Ta-da!
Fantastic.
It does, and it says adapted reading passage, and it gives the link. And a summary, and vocab, and multiple choice questions, which I guess are things that I checked or could have unchecked. Okay,
Great.
so pretty cool. Pretty useful. I'm so happy to share with y'all because I haven't been able to share with my teachers yet, so. And again, there's explainer videos and links and examples for all this stuff. Okay, this one was really interesting, EduAid. I think this now has a little bit of a payment plan. There is a freemium, but this is called EduAid. Okay, and this is also for creating teaching content. So you can create all kinds of stuff, engagement activities, lessons, evidence statements, rubrics, lesson plans. Okay, but if you come over to Assistant, oops. Okay, skip this. If you come over to Assistant, you pick your grade level, and then you can create emails home, class announcements, newsletters, report card comments. I don't know who has to write them from scratch, but that could be helpful. Sentence stem substitute planner, so you can generate sub plans through this. Syllabus starters. You can do the chat where you start to chat with like the EduAid chat bot and ask questions about lessons that you might want to create. There's also a feedback bot where you can paste something in there, student work, you paste student work, and it will give you feedback about that student's work that you can then pass along to your kids. Okay, so we're always looking for ways to make English teachers' lives easier. There are 3 or 4 tools right now that are currently have a freemium that will give feedback to students' work. Actually, ChatGPT will. I don't know how great it is compared to some of these other ones, though. So you would paste in the kids' work and ask for feedback and be specific. And again, you're signed in. You're not letting kids sign in to get their own feedback at this point. This is still on the teacher end. And there's also an assessment builder. But this content generator, these engagement activities, it was super cute. See, I think I picked enrichment, middle school, engagement activities. I entered my topic, I think was library. Oh, and then if you click enhance, I see Grammarly's working, but if you click enhance, it'll give you a better prompt. Enter additional text, library. Let's put Dewey Decimal. Dewey Decimals. analysis, I think is what I did before. And then I click enhance. It will write me an actual prompt. Aha, analyze, interpret, and effectively utilize the Dewey Decimal System. And then when you add it to your workspace, it's would you rather? Activities to get students' attention in under 5 minutes. And these are, again, all around the topic that you put in. Riddles about Dewey. Thought-provoking questions. Ooh. Again, that's just engagement activities. So for any topic, anything you teach, any content, and then it's got all the way down to preschool and kindergarten for this one too. And there's just so much here, like so much to play around with. So I know, look, it's overwhelming to have all these different tools. I am not saying to anybody on this meeting, you should go do all of these things. I'm saying that you should definitely play with ChatGPT, but you should also maybe be aware of these if you want to share them with teachers, and maybe try one or two that maybe meet your needs, right? That as they speak to you, as they kind of appeal to you. There's so many out there. It would be crazy to try to do everything. It's just not reasonable. Okay, I think there's two more. Okay, listen, I was going to skip Quizalize, but we're going to go there. This also, part of it is free. It's going to be charging. It used to be completely free. I don't know, during COVID, Quizalize was completely free, and now there's a freemium and there's a paid version. But what they've added is you can turn any quiz into gaming. And the gaming is like Minecraft. So you make a quiz, or you just pick a quiz, and it has all these different games that the kids can play. And what it does is it starts them, and they have like go in the game and do something. Then it'll pause and ask a question. And if they get the question right, they get to keep playing. If they get it, it sends them back. And one is like Minecraft. And my kids love Minecraft so much. So we play blockers with my quiz. Again, this is still free at the moment. I'm sure there's limits. You can import them. You can play quizzes from Google Form, a spreadsheet. You can get instant banks. I think I asked for a quiz about Dewey. Again, trying to be sort of library relevant. The Dewey Decimal System. Here's 10 questions. And we want a blocker. Play as a student. No. I want to go back. I want this to be thinking up questions. I was able to pick to play it as the grade 5 Dewey Decimals. Play it as, choose a team or solo game. Play blockers. Give it to the class. Choose quiz modes. Oh, if you play by yourself, you can see what it's play as the student. You can see what it's going to be like. Try it. All right, let's do Arrow Quest. I did Gold Rush. You have to go collect all the coins and try to make money. Play by myself. This is all very Minecrafty. I don't know how they're not getting copyright sued for this. Tells you what to do, and then you got to shoot an arrow, and then you keep going, and then you have to answer questions, the quiz questions that I pulled that Dewey Decimal quiz, and you have to answer the questions to keep going. Right? And it's very Minecrafty. And there's lots of different games you can play.
Hey Shannon, so we've had, and this might be just maybe AI part 3 or something like that, but we just have definitely questions coming about what's the reliability for these content coming out of these things, and some of that kind of stuff. There's been a couple things in the chat about it.
I think it's like Kahoot. I think you're better off making your own, using your own content than just pulling random content. Right? And always you want to preview it and make sure it's right. And it's editable. You can make a copy of all of these and then edit to make sure it fits what you're teaching. But yeah, I mean, obviously, when you make Kahoots, it's kind of ideal to use your own questions. If you can just upload them from a spreadsheet or connect it to a Google form, that would be ideal. I just thought it was really cool that it gamified quizzes. Right, and it's, again, the kids don't have to sign in. They get a link, or they get the code and they join and they play. Oops, was I showing that one? Oh, was I showing any of that? Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
But you were doing a good job explaining it to us.
I'm so sorry. I thought I was showing
We
it.
should have said something earlier. Sorry, our bad.
That's okay. Actually, okay, I have 4 arrows. I have to go. I have to shoot stuff. Somewhere I'm going to have to ask a question. Exactly like Minecraft, which is ridiculous. Shoot this thing. Oh! And then at some point it's going to say, sorry, you have to ask questions to reload your arrows. Oh, you hear the time ticking? I don't know if you guys can hear that.
We can hear
At some point it asks you, oh, here we go. You're out of arrows. Answer the quiz question correctly to get more arrows. Whatever that is. Yeah, so don't pull random content. Because what is... Oh, encyclopedia. You're supposed to guess what that is by sounding it out? That's not. That's dumb. All right, so that's Quizlets. I'm so sorry I wasn't sharing it originally. It's all these fun games. One's like shooting hoops, like it's a basketball game. What kids don't love that? Okay, I'm just gonna look ahead.
I'm giving you a 520. It's 527, my friend.
Okay, so one more. This is Slides AI.io. It's an extension you have to put in your Google, and it will create slideshows for you. But it puts the content in too. I haven't been able to get it to do it, so it just makes the pretty slides. It also puts in all the content. So if you need to teach a lesson about the Dewey Decimal System, you can use Slides AI. That's a Google extension, and it will build a whole presentation for you. It's kind of bizarro. There is another one called Slides GPT that you don't have to install the extension. It's just online. It does the same thing though. If you give it a topic, it builds you a whole presentation. So for teachers who teach basic stuff like Battle of Gettysburg or what's a noun, it can build your presentation really quick. For us, I mean, parts of a book maybe. I'm not really sure how I would use it, but it's a time saver for sure. Okay, so we're wrapping up on time. Here's 5 things your kids can use. So what can the kids use? Okay, we have 2 minutes. What can the kids use? Canva has text to image. The kids are all approved to use Canva. It's at the state level. It's privacy approved. It's literally an app called Text to Image where the kids, I put in library books heart or books in the shape of a heart, and it created images, and then you pick the one you like and you use it. If you're doing characterization, if you're doing imagination, if you're doing a new book cover, kids can type in the text and Canva will generate images. Adobe Express, which used to be, used to be the other Adobe, also has text to image. Okay, so if your kids are more used to using Adobe Express, you can use that. Flip, the new topic co-pilot where you can generate flip topics using AI. There's a fun game called Odd One Out from Google Arts and Culture. It shows you 3 images or 4 images, and you have to guess which one is AI generated. Again, we were talking about those lessons, and we're not very good at this, but this is something that kids can play as an enrichment at the end of a class if you have a few extra minutes. We're always looking for extension activities, Odd One Out. And then Canva, which kids have, also has something called Magic Write, which I'm super curious to have the kids try out. It will give them suggestions to make their writing better. Use 5 or more words to describe what you want to write. And it's a little ChatGPT-ish. It's called Magic Write. And I think that's it. We didn't get to productivity tools for librarians, but that's okay. I think that was the heart and soul of what I wanted to share today. And I thank you all for letting me share all this stuff with you.
Whew, Shannon, I think we need one of these like every month to keep up with all this stuff.
Yeah, well, we need like the sandbox now where we actually do the stuff.
Right. Thank you. This was amazing. Catherine is asking, can she share this presentation? So that's up to you on how you want to handle that.
No, of course, please.
Yeah. So it looks like, that would be a yes.
Copy,
Catherine.
Modify, whatever you like to do, please. So much of it was gleaned from ISTE, which I was really lucky to go to.
Yeah. So it sounds like we have definitely people that would like to talk. Like maybe another session would be, how do we teach kids about the usage of this. So any folks that are thinking about that, I think that would be another great one, because that's really a huge question. So yeah, and thank you everyone for coming. And Shannon, we really can't thank you enough, because this is just so interesting and so overwhelming. Yeah, but if anybody has any questions, Shannon, do you want to throw your email in the chat?
Oh yeah, I didn't put it anywhere on the present. I'll add it to the presentation.
Okay, she'll add it to the presentation.
You can Google me.
Yep. You can email me at the president address, which I just threw in the chat.